clientele that actually values what you offer. Okay. You won't have as many people come through the door, but you'll have the right people come through the door who will appreciate you. You will end up creating a following of true fans. And I was a big fan, speaking of that, of the TV series, the series on Netflix, I think it was, or I forgot where it was, called Succession. And I'm going to channel Logan Roy for a minute and let you know that your firm involves very serious relationships with serious people and involves serious money. And there are some serious consequences for getting all that wrong. So I say that to you in all seriousness. Whether most of your business is coming through that word of mouth or some of those other channels, remember that the cornerstone of successful client acquisition is actually going to be headed down a pretty slippery slope, which will eventually leave your firm in tatters. It could leave your business really floundering. And that's why when I work with my clients, I always start at the fundamentals, at the foundation, which is, what is your mission? What is your culture? What is your vision? What are your goals? And the clients need to align with that. So choosing your client, I like to think about it like choosing a life partner. Okay? It's a long-term commitment. I think most of us recognize we're going to be working with our client for a year, 3 years, and you want that partner that you're spending all that time with to align with values, the goals. By my friend Bob Borson, who is like, mission and vision, these things are a waste of your time. You know, every architect has the same mission. Every architect has the same vision. And I would challenge, and I did challenge him in a discussion, that is in fact far from the truth. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later too. By the way, I'll mention, if you are ever hiring any staff, just need some cash flow, but you don't consider what is in fact your firm's mission and vision, what you end up doing is you end up setting up your firm for survival, but you're not really going to be a thriving firm. So clients will make or break your project. Frankly, they will make or break your spirit. I think everybody here probably can say they had one of those. So let's just quickly talk about the right client, the dream client. They are, again, like a project's soulmate. They respect your expertise. They understand what you are all about. When they get an invoice from you, they'll think it was worth every penny because you've laid out to them what is the value that you're bringing them, and they're already prepared to receive voice as you. And they generally make every step of the project so much more like you're not stumbling through a project. You're doing it like dancing along the project. Now, they could be very demanding. I have no problem with a very demanding client, right? But you need to be aware of what their expectations are. They need to be aware of what your expectations are. And if they are, as that phone call I had earlier today from a firm in New York City, if that client is not actually aligned with and respectful to your firm's goals, it's really not worth engaging with that client. So then that would have been, frankly, for me, a client from they think they'll know better than you. They'll get advice from somebody else in another ear telling them, well, your architect really, that's not the way I would do it. And they have greater respect for that person than for you. So you don't want to be like dating somebody who argues with you about which way the toilet paper should hang, because these are exhausting and they're pointless arguments to have. And please, when we get to Q&A, we don't ask the question because we all know it should be hanging over the top. And I did mention, most of you do get your work through word of mouth from those referrals. Just think about this. The wrong client, they will not only not refer you, but they will actually damage your reputation, right? So that's a double whammy from even engaging with the wrong client. So what's your game plan be? So first thing you need to do is just do your homework. And don't worry, we are going to get to the AI and the BI stuff in a few minutes. I just need to set some ground rules here. So you need to do your homework, and AI is going to be able to help you with that. We'll get to that. Understand who these people are that you're talking with. So everything today is sort of much online, and if young people are using dating apps, and they can learn a lot about that person before they ever decide if they're going to actually sit down face-to-face with them. But when you do sit down face-to-face with this prospect of yours, let them do most of the talking. People love to talk about themselves. You're going to learn a lot just by letting them talk. Again, I mentioned the fees. Make sure your fees are openly discussed. A lot of firms will be very tentative to talk about the money. They think that that would be an impediment to the the decision to hire their firm, because you don't want to scare them away with your fees or bad news, which we'll talk about a little bit later, of like what is the realistic construction costs going to be, and not their pipe dream about these things. But you do not want a client shocked halfway through a project and thinking, oh, well, I just thought you were going to make some pretty pictures for me. I didn't realize how deep in the weeds you do go. The last thing I'm going to mention here is do not ignore your gut. If you've ever heard me talk before, I'm all about data. Data is really the heart of, I think, every business. Or certainly one of the fundamental pieces in a business. I'm about technology, I'm about data, but I really think that your intuition is really like your brain's supercomputer. What it's doing is it's processing years of experiences. It does it in a split second. So if it is sending you some warning signal, I do want you to listen to that. Maybe you need to do more due diligence. Maybe you can consult, like I had in my conversation earlier today with somebody else who can see from outside. You're in the game. You can't really see and think about it in an unemotional way. But you should always be prepared to walk away if it's a no-go. And frankly, that's probably one project you won't lose money on. So make every one of your client relationships count, and that's how you really set yourself up for long-term success. Okay, so I'm going to try to do this a little bit faster. This usually takes me 15 minutes, and I know you really want to get to the technology side of things, but this is, to me, as I mentioned earlier, the most important thing you can do is get a strategic plan. It is very interesting. It's only like 20 or 30%, I forgot what the number is right now, of architects actually do prepare a strategic plan every year, and they don't understand the value in it. But these are what I considered, and I've shown this before, the 10 essential sections of your plan. I'm just going to go through some a little bit quicker than I normally. The executive summary, write it at the very end, make it really like a trailer for a movie. It's got to be exciting and got to get people. Your mission statement, a very concise statement. I want no more than 2 sentences, 1 to 2 sentences to describe why your business exists. Okay, what's the purpose? Just read it out loud, and it's very. When I think about Bob's article that I mentioned earlier, maybe a lot of you could see yourself in this, but maybe it's a little too flowery. We merge innovation with function, creating spaces that resonate with the human experience. We design with passion, sustainability, and community in mind by placing our clients' aspirations at the heart of every project. Okay, it's a nice, noble mission. Maybe not mine, but probably close. Probably everybody has some relationship to that. And then, so you've got a mission. Why are we in business? Not just to make money, okay? Then there's the vision statement, which is like a firm's North Star, an inspirational statement. All of your employees should understand what the vision for that company is. That's what makes them actually excited to come to your firm, because they want to go on that ride with you. They want to participate in the vision that you have. And that very same firm, would have a vision statement. I'm sorry, I didn't want to get too far ahead of the game there. There's the mission statement. There's the vision statement, which is the vision for our firm is we empower communities through architectural excellence. So what does that mean? We envision a world where structures seamlessly blend with nature, culture, and individuality, and it elevates the quality of life for everyone. So at the end of their careers, if they look back at the work that they've done and they see that, my gosh, we have blended our work with nature, and the culture and the people are really happier because of what we've built, I think they'll have achieved the vision that they've had. SWOT analysis, that's your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities and threats. I won't get into that right now, but if you don't know what's your what things you can change, you have control over, like your strengths and your weaknesses, and those things that are impacting your business that you have no control over, like who is your competition, what's the economy like, those are your opportunities and threats. You got to give it some thought and think about it, because it's going to shape a lot of the decisions you make moving forward. KPIs, of course, that's what today's sponsor really excels in, is the ability to take business intelligence and measure the things that that are important to your firm for measuring. I do lots of other webinars that actually dig into the weeds on all the various KPIs. Go to my website at thewelldesignedfirm.com and you can get a blog article on some 50 KPIs, but really, you only need 10 KPIs in your firm. And these are kind of like examples of KPIs. I'm sorry, I hit the advanced button, but look at the bottom left there. Project, what's our profitability by project type? So maybe you're a small firm and you do a lot of single family residential work for homeowners. Maybe you do some restaurant work or whatever it is. Do you know which of those project types, just two of them, give your firm greater profitability? If you don't know the answer to that question, how do you even know which projects you should be taking on or what you should be improving and so forth? Another KPI may be how many new projects per quarter or per year, profit to earnings ratio, net revenue per full-time employee, one of the most fabulous metrics to gauge where your firm is, using a benchmark of, I think it's like $160,000 a year, which should be your net revenue per full-time employee, before you can really know whether you're truly profitable without a profit and loss statement. Okay, there's a few other things there. So then there's your firm's goals, right? These are, what do you intend to achieve over the next 3 to 5 years? And the reason I'm talking about this again is because your clients are half responsible for you achieving your goals. Wrong clients take you away from those goals, okay? So what kind of goals might you have? Oops, I did it again. Okay, operational efficiency, stay up on the goal line. Maybe you're going to implement some state-of-the-art design software because you think that software is going to increase your efficiency by 20% within a year or two. Or maybe you're going to use that software because you believe it can help you deliver your projects 15% faster. So the turnaround time is improved by using more efficient software technology for your deliverables. You might have this a firm with a mission and vision. You might have some sustainability goals, like we want 100% of our projects to meet some recognized green building standard by next year. You'll have client-centric goals, like you want to have a 95% client satisfaction rating. By the way, that's one of the KPIs, which is your net promoter score, which is really, would your clients recommend you to somebody else? And if you want 95% of them should be happy, you're going to need KPIs to measure that. Community engagement. So this firm is very interested in as you saw from the vision and the mission, and really working in the culture, in the community, I should say. So maybe one goal would be we're going to initiate, or maybe we'll participate in at least 3 community development projects every year. Or maybe if that's not in your geographic area, maybe you're going to offer an internship or a mentorship every year to a budding architect from some underserved community. Yeah, those are kind of community things to help with. You'll have some growth expansion goals. If you're a firm, a lot of small firms don't intend to grow or to physically expand their offices, but growth is always going to be important for your firm. You have to grow just to keep up with the cost of living, right? And inflation, those things are going to impact it. So your firm has to be able to grow. Maybe you'll have some financial health goals, like you want to have a 30%, year-on-year revenue growth, something like that. The marketing plan, I've already released some of those things you should be thinking about. I'm not going to go into those right now because we're going to talk about those with the AI, BI stuff. Have a unique selling proposition. What's your value proposition to your client? What sets you apart from your competition? Something you learned from the SWOT analysis. What is one of your threats, right? Maybe your unique selling proposition is, innovation in sustainability design or community-driven projects. Again, this is one of my favorite things when I work with a client. Most firms do not understand their uniqueness. And when you're interviewing for a project, then a client might ask, well, why should I hire you over one of your competitors? If they even ask that question, you haven't clearly articulated your unique selling proposition. And you better have an instant answer other than to say the milk toasty answers, like we're a small firm, we're just dedicated to, we take on very few projects and we pour our heart into it. They're going to hear that over and over again. So working on what is your unique selling proposition is huge. Content strategy. These are things we can talk about when we get to the AI stuff, digital marketing, also in AI, client retention strategies, right? How I did this in my last webinar, I think, with your group about, pre-design to post-construction, is making sure you are retaining a client when the project's ended. That's actually the beginning of a whole nother phase in post-construction. We've talked about that before. Budgeting and measuring is important with marketing because you don't just have goals for what you want to do with marketing. You have to actually budget for that so that you can enact those marketing objectives. and then measure to see if you're actually meeting them. There's the operations plan. Some breakdown of that. I'm going to pass over some of these things, technology and tools, and I will pass over that today because I want to leave time for Q&A. And the team. So I discussed this earlier in another slide where, not just your clients are important in your company's, having the right alignment, but your team also has to be aligned with your vision. So you can't be just hiring people who are just happy, what is it you're designing and creating, but you need to have financial projections. How much money is it going to cost for us to take on this project? How much money do we need to earn from that project with a profit to even engage in these things? And so it's at the project level, but also at the firm level. So look at that. I cut out a lot of time from that slide as I normally do. And we're now going to get into technology. Now, generally speaking, I shouldn't be showing a slide like this, so I'm probably breaking some rules, but nobody's called me on it yet, so I'm going to continue to break it. So grab a screenshot for this, or Mark can make it available, or BQE can make it available for you to have a PDF of this. Any application you see here is an application I've worked with, and these are all applications that have AI, artificial intelligence, currently implemented inside of them. I made this slide up a couple months ago. I would have no doubt that some of these have morphed and some new players are coming in here. It is astounding to me. I went to look at the plugin list on ChatGPT recently, and everybody knows about chat right now. But there's some well upwards of 1,500 plugins. So everybody's on the AI bandwagon. And so should you. So I've kind of segmented these into, various categories. And I would encourage everybody, you can possibly implement all of these. I wouldn't even encourage implementing all of these. I would just say, try to implement one. And depending on what you're trying to achieve, what would be that one will vary amongst the group. But there's no reason you shouldn't take a few days or many nights to just sit down and visit each one of these and see what's going on with these tools, and should they be considered for my firm. If you are finding it challenging, I would encourage you, one, find the youngest person working in your firm and ask them to help take this on, because this would be something they're more comfortable doing. It would also give them something, a good ambition for them. So find some unutilized time for them to dedicate to little R&D in the AI side of things. But you'll notice there's things like proposal writing. There's email AI going on right now. The ability to integrate an AI tool inside of your email to write better ones. I'll talk about that a little bit. So I'm going to move on from that slide. Now let me talk about these 5 ways that AI can really improve how you get your clients. Okay. So the first thing is with marketing and sales, although you may not define it as marketing and sales, but everything that an owner of a firm does is frankly sales and marketing. So having the ability to have AI help you with some personalized outreach. So people crave personalized experiences, and it's not me talking about that. There's a phenomenal McKinsey study that backs this up. The data backs it up. Artificial intelligence allows you to slice and dice any audience based on whatever factors are important to the message you want to get out. Demographics and interests are very common denominators, but you can really drill down very precisely so that you can create a very laser-focused marketing campaign. Again, that's probably not a term you use, but that's what you are doing. Whenever the outside world needs to know about you, you can define it as an actual campaign. So if you do an Instagram post, just an innocent little Instagram post, that's actually its own very campaign. And in a world where customization is king, artificial intelligence is like the ace in the hole. So you need to look at the tools that are integrated with marketing that you saw in the slide. There's this real-time tracking. Okay, so you can see how that marketing effort of yours, that campaign, is performing in real time, and you can learn what's working, what resonates with people, what doesn't, and then you kind of recalibrate. You can also use this for lead generation. Okay. Let me advance that one more right there. Lead generation. There we go. Okay. So as I mentioned, AI will help Be smarter with which prospects you're going to target. So imagine you're going to look to reach people interested in sustainable design. The AI platforms can sift through the web, they can sift through social media data, and they identify which of the prospects for your particular services. And then when you're armed with that, that's how you can create a personalized outreach effort, which means that your efforts aren't just effective, but they're extremely efficient. There's this old phenomenon of, spray and pray, which is just get your message out like probably almost all of you do, and just hope somebody who sees that message happens to resonate with it. If any of you have ever been sitting at home quietly in a room, an idea in your head, in Yosemite, and then the next thing you know, you're on your social media and something comes up about camping and Yosemite, you think, oh, my phone was listening to me. My smart devices, IoT devices are listening to me, and that's creepy. But that's not actually what happened there. So what's happening is the AI tools that are being used know more about you than you actually know about yourself. That's phenomenal. It's absolutely phenomenal. Content creation, and I'm going to go back to that McKinsey study. This blew my mind. When you do personalized content, or some, I know when you personalize, you get more revenue. Okay? So if I receive an email or something that speaks directly to me, I like that thing that's telling me about, it's the best camp in Yosemite or something like that. So I do respond. I do with ChatGPT or BARD, but they're great for generic or general content. How simple these things are to do right now. There's I mentioned that can help marketing. It really be firm, please consider. It has this thing called ad copy generator. It works with LinkedIn business firms out there. CRM tools, tried and true, even like HubSpot, right? And for Salesforce, they built solid products right now that integrate with their tried and true old CRM software out there. So no matter what's going on here, the last thing I should mention is your websites. Your websites, generally, you think your website is beautiful. I think your website is terrible. I'm sorry to say this. Most every architect's website looks like almost every other's architect's website because they don't talk about your value proposition or your unique selling proposition. But your websites probably are hopefully using some search engine optimization tools, but AI now allows you to have much more effective and real-time improvements to your search engine optimization. Any of that bothers you, please work with an outside consultant to help you with these things. If that young person in your firm doesn't have the skills, a lot of this stuff is kind of specialty stuff. Improving the way you prepare a proposal, okay? So I've been really impressed with the uniqueness of proposals that are coming from some architects right now. Okay, so a lot of firms will just take their proposal, from the last project, they'll duplicate it, they'll change the client name, the address, some few things, but 90% of the proposal is all the same. Okay, so you can actually use proposals to help you with some data-driven insights. AI can actually look out on the field, and you can use these tools. Hyperwrite, Chorus Docs can actually look into any prior interactions, public records. They could look at your past projects. They could look into information about your potential client. And as I mentioned, it can read their minds. And so if your client is a big fan of sustainable design, your proposal should be leading with your firm's expertise in green building. And doing this information coming from AI isn't just like an educated guess, because it actually knows what the client wants actually before they do. And then they see it and then they go, I do want that. Also, studying visuals. Maybe you've been working with, like, all my images are created on Midjourney through Discord. It's just no more stock imagery. You maybe not always your own projects are possible for you if you're going after some kinds of work, but imagery is a great enhancement to proposals. Tailored content. I just talked a little bit about changing the proposal and how it's being presented. But if the AI picks up that your client is budget conscious, or they need rapid project execution, the proposal could actually suggest clauses or content within the proposal to include that relates to your firm's ability to serve, fast tracking projects or whatever it might be. So I want you to look at AI tools for proposals are out there today. The way you know that this is AI generated images, by the way, is that hand has 6 fingers on it, or 5 fingers and a thumb. So one of the little quirks about a lot of AI is it doesn't always get you the five fingered hand. Then there's this the way you communicate with your client, which is, for me, one of the big important topics we talk about. It's a cornerstone of building a good relationship. Just let's think about how AI is going to make communication more effective, smarter, quicker, more intuitive. So first on are these things that you probably have all interacted with, which are these virtual chatbots, right? Always on virtual chatbots. You go to a website, there's a chat there. Very easy to implement a chatbot on your website, or if you have a client portal, right? So it's there to answer questions 24/7, provide some valuable information. Maybe it can even schedule an appointment with you because it has access to your calendar. So these are very helpful tools. You probably can't go to a website today and not see an AI-driven chatbot. Just because you are a small architectural firm doesn't mean you shouldn't have the most interesting chatbot possible, okay? Smart typing. Time is of the essence, right? So if you're drafting an email message or writing some kind of a document, having these predictive typing tools there's Phrasee, you saw on my slide of things. Phrasee, Persado, and Albert, some other ones, can suggest entire sentences or paragraphs to put inside of your own communications. And you can tweak these things to speak like you. And I know that early days, everybody's chat communication sounded all the same, but you can actually give them personas and make it feel more authentic. Follow-ups that are smarter. So these AI tools can actually start to understand, when do these people receive, like when does your client receive your emails? When do they read your emails? How many times do they open your emails? Which ones do they spend the most amount of time on? And these things can help provide insights to you as to when you communicate with them, how regularly you communicate with them, what you say, what the subject lines are, things of that nature. AI tools are there to help you with that. As I was mentioning about post-construction from the previous webinar, if you are out of sight, as you were typically at the end of a project, you are out of mind, okay? AI actually can keep you front and center in your clients' minds because they are probably bringing you most of your business. So it's going to help you craft regular updates, not just the traditional holiday greetings that we all are familiar with. That's just gets lost in the mail with all other kinds of things. So you want to always keep dripping your client content that is meaningful to them so they see your value. And remember, my God, that was one amazing firm that I worked with. We're on number 4 and number 5. I'm doing okay with my time here. We're going to have enough time for Q&A. So mastering the art of client persuasion. Right? You got some clients out of there, and depending on your empathy skills, you might be better or worse at actually convincing your clients to do what you believe is best and right. So what can AI do here? First is this thing, behavior-driven strategies. So it will look at your client's behavior. It could look at them from their visits to your website. Okay, so when you instrument your website to understand that their client is actually visiting you now, because it will know who the IP address is, okay, match it up to the client. They'll see where they're going, what they're interested in, and you can get these tools through HubSpot and Drip and some others. And these are not just surface level insight. It understands the why behind the what. So are they looking at your green architecture designs, but maybe what they're actually interested in is slashing their energy costs? Okay, why did they go look at that? Or maybe that's because they need to comply with a local sustainability mandate. You may not know that yet, but the AI knows all of that. Okay, so get that stuff in your firm. Seeing these things and then solving these problems. So if AI tools that can sift through your emails, It could look at your surveys. It could look at social media, and it can find some common threads, help you understand pain points that you haven't been able to put the dots together on. And your power move through AI is to proactively address those concerns, either in your pitches or in any of your communication, even with an existing client, because you're frankly always winning their business, even after they've signed your contract. You have to keep it going. It's like you can't be all good behavior when you're dating and then you get married and you become just a brute. That's not going to be a winning method for you. So you always have to be on your toes here. Yeah, I'm going to pass that one right now for time. I think we're all very much interested in visualization tools. So many of us will use this in our own services right now. It's become so easy and cost effective, and I won't waste any more time on that. So we're going to win the last one. We're going to have Q&A. This is almost perfect. Now, this is a tougher one, especially for smaller firms, but this is about strategic positioning of your firm in the marketplace. The world is constantly changing, but you want to be at the top of the game. You want to be a top-notch service provider, no matter how grandiose or very simple your own firm's ambitions are. But what you need on either end of that spectrum is you need to be a strategic thinker, and you need to learn how to navigate the economic and industry landscape. And frankly, there's nothing better than AI and certainly BI to make that happen. So competitive intelligence. So there are tools out there that can monitor your competition. Where are they winning? Where are they failing? Let's say one of your competitors knocks it out of the park with some urban renewal project. And that's what we are, like our mission and vision example earlier. The business intelligence tools is able to distill all that data and give you actionable insights. And it will help you gauge, what are the strengths and weaknesses of ourselves, and what are the strengths and weaknesses against our competition. And then you can do some internal tinkering to improve that and take advantage of the market. And speaking of the market, AI can read the room. If there is a rise for demand, I don't know, for sustainable conversion of downtown commercial office spaces into senior living facilities, okay? AI will pick up on that, and it will ping you to help you start to be a first mover in an untapped market. And I've talked about this in other webinars, but the social content, the content that you present on your website, white papers, case studies, social media, they all need to sing the same song. And when a person clicks on your social media ad, they do not go to your website, mycompany.com. They have to go to a landing page on your website that speaks specifically to why your firm is important to their need, not the generic stuff. Strategic opportunities. This is a little bit similar to the previous one, but I'm going to pass on that. Adapting to the market, right? So I just gave you one example, but let's say AI is recognizing that the Internet of Things, the IoT features are all the rage right now. Your firm can actually begin to exploit that understanding, okay? So in a nutshell, AI, BI, I didn't get into any examples. Because there's way too many examples and it's way too difficult to kind of give you a high level overview. They serve like your strategic war room. They give you the 360-degree view of the marketplace. They have predictive capabilities. They can tell you what's coming around the corner. So not only do you know what your current standing is in the market, but you are now going to become prepared and ready to kind of catapult or leapfrog ahead at any moment. So these tools, please, they do require an investment of your time to understand them. Before we get to Q&A, Mark, and I think Emily, you're also on board here. I'm not sure how we're going to handle this. I would be remiss if I really didn't one more time just thank BQE for making this today's event possible and asking me to help present it to you. And I'm hoping what I've said has sparked some ideas that you can take back and implement in your firm. My objective is always to equip you with tools and the knowledge to construct a business that is not just profitable and sustainable, like your architecture, hopefully, but it is going to be deeply fulfilling to you. And I want all of you, if you haven't done so already, or even if you did it, but you did it a year ago, please answer the poll that hopefully Mark will launch in a moment here. There are transformative impacts of the right technology, okay, specifically AI and BI from today. So if you are on the hunt for some actionable business intelligence insights that can help you pinpoint which of those clients and which of those project types, like I mentioned earlier, give you the greatest profit, please consider BQE's core platform. It is a robust, all-in-one solution. It is tailored for the AE industry. It has a suite of features from the necessary but banal, time tracking, expense tracking, invoicing, project management, resource scheduling, accounting, full accounting if you want to. It does integrate with QuickBooks if you're one of those QuickBooks users as well, but it has its own embedded accounting, which gives you a bit more power, and has a lot of automation. Business intelligence, I mentioned, artificial intelligence. The mobile app is phenomenal with what it can do because it's a native mobile app, unlike anybody else's out in our marketplace. I have to do a demo just on the mobile app myself. It's just phenomenal. So please take care of that poll. Really appreciate it. And with that, Mark or Emily, we could probably go to any questions from people today.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Cool.
All right. We do have some questions. I want to start off with, and this is a question that Cheryl asked in the chat, but it was also a question that I have. And it's a question I often ask when I have interviews with people about AI and small firms, right? You know small firms as well as I do, Steve. We are a busy bunch, right?
Yeah.
A lot of hats and trying to do a lot of things. And AI there's so much out there, as you've demonstrated. There's so much to dig into. What would you say should be the first step? What is the first thing that we should be doing with AI in order to sort of dip our toe in, get a little experience and understand how this works so we can move a little bit further once we see the benefits of it?
Not to beat a dead horse, but the first step is to know what your firm's goals are.
Sure.
Okay?
Yeah.
So you got to know that first. So as an example, if one of your goals was we want to increase our client base. We feel like we've been cannibalizing our existing clientele, and there's a diminishing returns on their ability to bring us new projects all the time. So we need to increase the base. You need to work on that's basically marketing, right? And so what's the right content for your firm? So all of that goes back to the strategic plan. You need to know what marketing you're going to do, why you're doing the marketing. Now, take a look at the slide earlier about marketing tools. But even before you implement the AI, it's just like if you say, I want to get a new website, and you say, build me a new website to some website designer, they're just going to say, I need content. You got to give me content. So content building is key. So I'm a very huge fan of you building case studies. There are AI tools to help you build these things. They're on that slide. Case studies of your own, white papers, become a thought leader. So if you are, you are into tight buildings or, whatever the thing is, write about it, share it, and share it to the right people. And so That's one of the things it does, is it identifies who are the right people for your particular market in your particular geographic area, if that matters. But yes, the worst thing you can do is say, hey, look, here's a slide with 40 AI tools that Steve talked about. Let's go implement them. Right. You're going to fail. It's a guaranteed fail. Yeah. I would say in the next quarter, we will start to implement some AI tool in our regular daily use in our company. Okay. Yeah. So if you literally, like if you were using Core, BQE Core, and you were tracking your time card in a very granular fashion, and you found out, wow, it turns out that on average, our employees spend 6 hours a week writing emails, responding to correspondence. It's just an example here. 6 hours out of a 40-hour work week. I would say, let's take a look at the email AI tools that are out there, okay, that you can put on to your own website and your thought leadership articles and your case studies to help you, and also go out to the general world of internet data available to us to craft these things, and even standardize email templates and things of that nature. So yeah, just say one. In the next 3 months, we're going to implement one thing. Yeah. We do a lot of proposals. I was working with a firm recently who they do a lot of RFPs. They spend a lot of time. They have a very low on RFPs, right? So if you're feeling that you do a lot of proposals, but you don't win a lot of proposals, I would look at a proposal building tool. Okay? I was showing my client proposals, AIA contract document, be what document you want to pull out of the drawer, or it's an engagement letter that's just 2 pages of text. Not anymore.
All right, we have some more. And I agree with you. I think starting simple, right? Pick one and experiment with it. And I agree with you that sort of focusing on writing, right, content. Architects have been looking for this answer for years. You need to create content for marketing. Well, now you have a way, an assistant, a tool, right? That's all AI is a tool to help you write that quicker, more efficiently, and more effectively.
Yeah, Mark, when AI, well, at least when ChatGPT came out, I forgot what is it now. I lost 9 months ago, 8 months, whatever it was. I actually had it write my book for me. I said, write a book, okay? The well-designed firm book, right? Yeah. And it kept putting more and more things I wanted to talk about. I read the document, and it was the worst read ever. Yeah. Okay. It was like, I could not possibly put my name on that. I wouldn't read it. Why would I want anybody else to read it? There is a limit. I know over time it will get better. As I mentioned, you could give it a better voice, but it needs it needs your voice. So like I recently, when I built my GPT on chat, I uploaded all my blog articles, everything I've ever written, I uploaded there. So I created my own LLM, and then your GPT says, ask it a question. So I said, ask it a question that any one of my clients would ask me, and have it give an answer the way Steve would give it to you. And it is phenomenal. And that's just 6 months after, chat came out, and now I have the ability to build a GPT. So yeah, don't just take what they give you and just pass it on. You do have to, it's inspiring. A lot of stuff is like using Midjourney to help you, to inspire you for architectural projects is really quite interesting. You wouldn't build what they gives you, probably, but it does say, I never thought of that.
Yeah. Gary has a question, an ethics question, about putting together a project using AI image generation, where he calculated 20 hours to prepare the work with a staff, but now he's using AI and it's taking 4 hours. Does he have an ethical requirement to pass that savings on to the client? What is your thought on that?
Well, sounds like he's doing hourly billing, and he gave his client some estimates. Is that a fair assumption here? And right?
Yeah, he says, we have a large project for our local county agency. We wanted to know if there was, if we were to use AI to generate prototype designs, design alternatives, and other visual standards, what is our ethical standards on using this tool to compose our work that previously would have required staff hours to design using typical tools like CAD or BIM or Adobe, et cetera, we calculated 20 hours to prepare the work, but used AI and it took 4. So let's assume that he is billing hourly. And Gary, you can post in chat just to clarify if you want.
Okay. Well, a couple thoughts on this. It doesn't guarantee that you're using a tool, and the general hope is that the tool makes you more efficient. But it doesn't guarantee that your 20 hours is suddenly going to become 5 hours and you're said and done. But if I told you all those drawings I was going to produce were going to be hand drafted with, and watercolored by me, okay, and I end up hiring a guy who can do it better than I can, and in a tenth of the time, it's the same ethical. The ethics behind that are the same to me. So I don't see the ethical problem in using tools to make you more efficient. The problem becomes when you say, I'm going to bill you for every hour. Right. And I ended up not spending the 20 hours. I only spent 5 hours. For me, ethically, it would be, look, I just was able to give you all this inspiration. We now have a pool of time that we can, invest in other more critical areas than just wow stuff, but something that really ends up bringing real value to the building and making the building better. It doesn't mean you've lost that money. I would just say you put it in a different budget. But you could spend 40 hours and only get to build in 20 hours. And what's the ethical issue there? Is you just lost half your fee because you spent twice as much time on it. I don't think AI has inherently an ethical problem.
Yeah, at that level, I agree. It's a tool. It's just another tool, right? It using BIM is a lot faster than hand drawing, right? And you're not charging any different that way. And Steve, you've talked about this so many times on other sessions about using value-based pricing or flat fees. Don't use hourly billing. This is a perfect example of why you don't do hourly billing, because you have a tool that could take a 20-hour project and make it 4, and you should be putting that money in your pocket, not giving it back to the client. You should just be more efficient. You can make more money. All right. Elizabeth has a question about, Steve, have you ever had any ways of beating the quote AI checkers? Even when I revise verbiage, it seems to still come up as AI generated. So if you're creating AI generated content, there are AI checkers that can evaluate them and tell you whether they're AI generated or not. Have you played around with that at all?
No, but I don't know if she's still handing in homework and worried about the teacher grading her down for using AI. Although a friend of mine is a professor at a college, to be unnamed, here in Los Angeles, who requires her students to use AI. Okay, what's the problem? You've decided to hand it in, and if it's, first of all, if you ask AI a question and then you ask it again, you'll get a different response. The wording, the language is different. You don't get the same response. That's what's phenomenal about AI. Yep. Okay, nobody quite really understands why that happens. But if you say, "What are tell me the top 10 techniques for delivering construction projects on time and on budget," or something like that. I don't know. Or the 10 leading green technologies today. You do it, and then you do it 2 minutes later after you finish reading that, you're going to get it. You're going to have it composed. That the language is different. So I don't know why you would be concerned. All I would say is, do you like what's been written?
Yeah,
I use it all the time for email, and sometimes I go, "Oh, that's not how I speak. Maybe I just speak a little bit more off the cuff. That sounds like a little too professional." And so I'm going to change stuff. It just, wow, it's machine. It's partially machine made. And just think about everything we have today that's partially, CNC machines, everything, but that person's not hand chiseling anything anymore. Is that a problem? It's just efficient. And it's not only efficient, it's generally more accurate, though chat's not always that accurate, but
Yeah, an example that I like to often, and I know we're past the time, so we're going to wrap things up here. But the contractors aren't charging less because they're using excavators.
Right.
All right, so let's wrap up. Thank you, Steve. This has been fascinating. This is fascinating topic. Every time I talk to AI, I always like to remind everybody that in 5 years, we're going to look back at this and laugh that we were talking about AI as in such a basic level, because it's going to be ubiquitous and it's going to be everywhere in everything we do. It's exciting to see what's happening and how it's affecting the things we do. Yes, there's a downside and there's some bad stuff that could happen, but it's happening. And so let's embrace it and figure out how to use it the best we can. And this has been a fantastic presentation.
Can you give me 30 seconds? Can you give me 30 seconds?
Yeah,
okay. Yeah. This is last night. Friends invited me over for dinner because I'm doing free architectural design for them. Don't kill me on this, because I'm no longer have a business where I do architecture, but I have an itch I have to scratch. And so they're friends. So they say, I'll feed you and it will help me with remodeling. Anyway, I drove to their house on full self-driving mode. I have a Tesla. I got to their house in full self-driving mode. The only time I actually did something without it was when I backed out of my driveway. Okay. Yeah. And so they said to me, aren't you really afraid? Like it's not as safe. And I said, the interesting thing, I hadn't thought about this. That's AI at work in a life and death situation. I said, I was far more aware of my driving and environment while I was under this, because I don't trust it entirely. I don't trust what comes out of chat entirely, right? I was far more aware, because when it's automatically changing lanes for me on the 405, moving at 60 miles an hour or more, I want to make, I'm still looking at everything, right? So normally when you drive,
hyper aware,
you just start driving. It's just become part of our doing and being. So that to me, that was like, oh, I hadn't realized that. It's true. I actually I lost more calories driving under AI.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And back to you. Thanks.
It's an exciting time. We're living in a fascinating time. I could not imagine a better time to be living. All right. And that's a whole other story. I'm happy to have that conversation another day. Thank you, BQE, for supporting us and for supporting our community and for sponsoring this session. Steve, thank you for always great content, always making us think as we're leaving, how to do the things we do better. I appreciate you for that. Thank you all for attending today. BQE will report your attendance to AIA, so no worries. If you have any question, bqeuniversity@bqe.com is the email you should reach out. You could also reach out to me, but I'm going to send you that email. So bqeuniversity@bqe.com. Thank you all for attending.